Heidi.
And this is Franny.
You're here with Heidi and Franny's Garage.
And we're going to do a review of our 2004 996 twin turbo with the X50 option on it, which is a power pack option from Porsche. This is our personal car. We're going to run you through all the bits and bobs on the car. We're going to take you out for a drive. It's going to be great fun.
So fasten your seatbelts and definitely hang on.
Yep, so, okay, so that's up next on Heidi and Franny's Garage. All right, this is a 2004 996 twin turbo with the X50 power option on it. So X50 is an option package you can get from Porsche that pushes this car up from 415 horsepower to 450 horsepower and about the same in torque. I think it's like 457 foot-pounds of torque. One of the big features of this car, I think, is that it has something called a Mezger engine, which was the engine that Porsche developed for the GT1 racing car. It's a truly race-bred engine. The other nice thing about it is, we all know that the 996s have this small problem with the intermediate shaft bearing going bad, and also their rear main seals will leak, which can also attribute to problems with the intermediate shaft bearing going out.
Yeah, and that's an important point because we think these cars are on sale basically because of that issue. And it's not even an issue with the turbos, so it's artificially lowered the pricing of these slightly older turbos, which are still a modern car. Woohoo! This is so much fun. I'm going on some pretty serious twisties right now. We are not behind people. We will eventually catch up with them, but it's really super fun. I love this car. I love this car.
So even though this car is 13 years old, let's compare it to what you could buy from Porsche today, right today, okay? So in order to get the same 450 horsepower as this car, you would have to buy a Carrera GTS. Now that's a $140,000 car. That's the base price on that car. Now it's amazing. It's a brand new 991.2. It's also turbocharged. 450 horsepower. This car has 450 horsepower, and in fact this thing bests it by probably another 50 foot-pounds of torque. So it has more power than a Carrera GTS does. In fact, this is funny, you could buy a Carrera S and this car for the same price as you could get one Carrera GTS.
Right.
Now that's pretty amazing. You got brand new Carrera S and this car for the same price.
Yep.
That's what you have to buy from Porsche now in order to equal this car. As far as power goes. Now, would the Carrera GTS be faster than this car? Of course it would be. It's more modern, it's newer, it would be PDK more than likely, and it's going to have a faster 0 to 60 time. But this car's 0 to 60 is 4 seconds, right around 4 seconds. That's awfully fast.
Yes.
In fact, you can redline first gear in under a second.
Yeah.
It's insanely fast, this thing.
Yeah.
So this is a more raw driving experience as well. We do have, this car has PSM, which is Porsche Stability Management or Traction Control. It's one of the best traction controls of its day, developed on the 959. It's an amazing traction control, and you totally want this if you're going to be driving it in the wintertime on ice and snow. You really want it. It's a wonderful traction control system. But you can turn it off, and it will actually turn off completely, which is wonderful. So the rest of it is, the steering is just so connected in this car. It's the sort of old school. It is power steering, but it's a light power steering. It's still great feel.
Oh, it does not have the electronic steering. That's something that Porsche changed.
No, it doesn't.
Electric steering.
Yeah.
Yes.
The gearbox on this car is very nice. It shifts beautifully. It's actually a really short throw between the gears.
I love the shifter.
And it's very responsive. The clutch is great as well. It's in and out. Boom, you're there. The car itself is a GT model. The turbos were always sort of top level trim. So we've got leather on the dash here. We've got leather all over the place. Leather seats, of course, and a high trim level. This car has navigation. Actually, believe it or not, it's CD-based navigation, but it's 13 years old.
Dated. That is dated. Yes.
These cars are some of the last Porsches you can actually work on yourself. The new cars, you open up the boot and you're presented with this big piece of plastic back there with two I don't know, filler caps. One for radiator fluid, and the other one I think is for oil. But you can't even see the engine. This car is still something you can work on, which is really nice. I like that. Keeps our maintenance costs down.
Yes.
So cons would be in some places the ride quality is a little bit rough.
Right.
Some people don't like the look of the headlights up front, but here's the deal with those. Like a week after you get the car, you'll never notice them again, and it's only other people that notice them. So whatever. I
honestly,
think they're fine.
I know that it really bothers some people, but it doesn't bother a lot of people.
No, they're great lights, by the way. They're electronic headlights, and they're very bright, very clear, and they work beautifully. So whatever. The view from the back is wonderful on this car.
Oh yes, the haunches of the
haunches on the back.
That it has a turbo.
Turbos and the 4S's, they look great from the back.
Right.
Let's see. There isn't a tremendous amount of storage in the car. The area up front for storage also has to house the front differential. So you lose a little bit of space. The two-wheel drive cars have a bigger
ever
area
so slightly
under the bonnet up front.
That's true. But you have, unlike Boxsters and Caymans, you have the
area back here,
area behind the seat.
Yep. So you've got that, and the seats, of course, go up and down.
It's a typical 911 where you could put smaller kids in there. I mean, if you do have a family of 4 and they're small, then younger, then you could put them in the back seat.
It doesn't get the best gas mileage, as you'd imagine. It's a high-performance car, so don't expect huge gas mileage out of this car.
If you want a fast car, I mean, let's face it.
Whatever. You're not buying this car for the gas mileage, that's for certain.
Right, exactly.
There are a couple of known issues with the turbos. So probably the worst problem with these cars is the clutch accumulator going bad on these cars. You'll notice it. You'll go to get in the car. There'll be a bunch of brake fluid just behind the front left wheel. If you see that, that's a problem. Another thing that goes wrong on these cars is the wing in the back. It's hydraulic.
Right. Yes,
and ours is even weeping on the left side. So the left hydraulic ram is weeping a little bit for us. It does go up and down just fine for now. Keep the rams nice and clean, and you'll probably be fine for a while.
Right.
But at some point, we're going to end up having to rebuild that system, which is a bummer.
Yeah, but so these are things that Franny's pointing out that you will know to look for if you're going to buy a second-hand car like this.
Absolutely. The power steering pump doesn't go bad, but it did make a lot of noise. And Porsche reworked that part. They re-engineered it. And
in the 997s, I believe, is when they did that.
And the 997s as well. They were fixed about nowish, 2004 to 2005. So ours was fixed under warranty. So we had that in the history of the warranty. The other thing that was kind of a weird thing, which I think was probably not common in these cars at all, was there was a porosity issue in the front differential, and it was actually leaking oil through the metal. Porsche had some casting issues back in the day. I know that the early M96 engines actually leaked oil through the case. This is the same sort of problem with the front differential. That was replaced on this car under warranty. Oh, one thing I do want to mention is, if you look on the back of the car, you'll see it says Turbo S with a shiny kind of chrome emblem on the back. Well, there were no Turbo S's in 2004. Right. There were only the turbos with the X50 power package, which is the same thing as a Turbo S. It's performance-wise, it's identical. The only difference would be a little bit of badging here and there that has the S. That's literally the only difference between the two cars.
It's like on the speedometers and stuff. Yes, not that many.
So the previous owner of this car was at the dealership, and the dealership talked him into putting a Turbo S badging on the back of this car. You know, you pretty much have a Turbo S.
I think it was the other way around. I think he talked the dealership into
Well,
putting
whatever.
the S on
The way
there.
I look at it is it's a dealer installed option on the car.
Yes.
So, and it was like that when we bought it. So, all of you 2005 996 Turbo S owners, we apologize in advance for that. So in 2004, there was no S. You could get the X50 Power Pack, and if you did get the X50, then you also had the option of getting the PCCB, the Porsche Carbon Ceramic Brakes, I think they're called.
Yes.
So this car has, and you can always see those by the yellow calipers, this car has the ceramic brakes. Would I have gotten those on the car? I don't know. They're an awfully expensive option. One of the nice things about them is they're almost maintenance free. They'll go as long as we'll ever own the car, and you won't have to replace pads or the rotors, which is good because they're very, very expensive.
So what's the deal? I always get this confused. So you either, if you wanted the carbon ceramic brakes, you had to get the X50 option.
Yep, that had to come first.
But you could, okay, so...
Yeah, you couldn't get these ceramic brakes without the X50. But you could get an X50 with steel brakes.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, weird.
Good, okay.
That's what I heard. So the 996 is really the first modern Porsche. The 993s, the last of the air-cooleds, are wonderful cars, but you know what I mean by a modern car is that all the systems are well integrated. This has great air conditioning, great heating, it has a great stereo, the windows work, the top goes up and down really easily. Everything about the car is all integrated and works really, really well. Whereas in the 993, they were just sort of finishing that up. The 3.2 Carreras are a disaster. They have 3 different ventilation systems. Nothing seems to work in concert with each other. Up through the 964 and into the 993, they managed to pull some of that together, which was great. But this car really feels like they kind of redesigned it. And it is redesigned pretty much almost from the ground up, this one. So, that's one of the nice things about this car. You can jump in it and go, and you don't have to worry about, well, my window's going to defrost properly. Am I going to freeze my buns off in below zero weather? All those sorts of things. It has temperature. It has an outside temperature sensor on it. It has all sorts of the modern things that you'd expect in a modern car.
So let's talk about the interior of the car. The first thing I want to talk about is the seats and the fact that there's 2 programmable seats here. You have one which is programmed for my setting. You can see I have it set to this, and then Franny has the other one set to 2, but you can also just, move the seats back and forth as it is. And in addition to that, another nice thing about the steering wheel is that you can adjust it to bring it in and out, so that can help you get in and out of your seat as well. In the center of the steering wheel, you can see the 5 gauges. The center gauge is the tachometer and the digital readout area below. To the left of that is the speedometer, and to the far left side is the voltage, which you don't see that very often. On the right hand side is the water temperature, fuel level, and clock, and the far right hand side has the oil pressure. Next, you will see the center console, which contains the radio and the CD player along with CD navigation. In the upper left-hand corner is the PSM button, which allows you to remove traction control if you want to. Below that is the manual control for the wing. The wing normally deploys at 75 miles an hour, but you can manually put it up and down if you want. Below that is a blank, but we put in a target top button so that we can control our garage door. Below that is the intermittent wiper speed setting. On the upper right hand side, you have the door lock, the rear defrost below that, and the convertible top. And below that, you have a 12-volt power supply. 911s typically have the window switches on the doors. But in this case, with the 996s, Porsche moved the window switches into the center area between the 2 seats. Porsche did something with their key. they put a little tiny light over on the driver's side door so that when you close the door and you're ready to start the car and it's nighttime, you'll be able to see the area where you put your key into the ignition. Isn't that cool? In the 996, Porsche included a collapsed spare tire with some tools and a jack. In addition to that, on the left-hand side, you will see an air compressor. On the right-hand side, an amplifier for the stereo, so obviously don't go and pull that out. 2006 was the last year that Porsche included the option sticker with the car. If you're looking for your option sticker, it's located under the hood of the car. If it's still intact, it'll give you the options of what your car has. In this case, this is what our car came with.
I'd like to take you on a quick little tour of the underside of the Bedskirt engine. It's quite a bit different than the normally aspirated engines. And one of the coolest differences between those two engines is that this is a dry sump engine. So up here is the actual dry sump itself, which is kind of neat. And this is our drain plug here. And this is the line that goes back into the engine. So that's kind of cool. We also have the regular drain plug, which is over here. And this looks just like it does on a 3.2 Carrera or a 993. So this engine kind of grew out of that vibe, so not too surprising. It looks a lot like it. Over here is the exhaust manifold and going into the turbo here. And one of the other, this is the oil bit down at the bottom. One of the cool things is, I don't know if you can read this under here, but it's written Kit GT2 underneath here, which is kind of neat because these turbos and intercoolers are the exact same ones they would put on a GT2. So that's kind of cool. The intercooler lives behind this shroud here and is fed through this hose here. And one of the cool things about the intercooler is that if you reach your fingers up into the haunches there on an X50 or a GT2, you'll feel that the vanes in the intercoolers are a little bit proud. They sit up a little bit over the surface, whereas on a regular turbo, they'll be flush with the surface. So that's one quick way to kind of tell if you've got a GT2 or you've got the X50 package, which is kind of neat. So thanks so much for watching our review of our 2004 996 Turbo X50. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below. We'll go ahead and get to them.
Yes, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe to our channel, hit the bell so that you're notified. And you know, if you enjoyed this video, we'd appreciate it if you would share it with your friends and other car enthusiasts. Let them know about our channel, you know, let us know if we're doing a good job or not. But we would love to have some new subscribers.
Yep. So thank you so much, and until next time, safe travels.
Bye.